Well, we'll touch base with James Aveji again, who is at Tse-Addo, where the Electricity Company of Ghana is installing a new transformer after power outages there, and they're saying that they're declaring no more outages for residents in those areas, especially Tse-Addo and Burma Camp. James, what's the latest where you are?
The installation, the commissioning of that mobile transformer has just completed here in Tse-Addo. You will recall that in the conversations about power outages, especially in the Tse-Addo area, we've consistently been told that the development in the area has led to some pressure on the serving transformer that distributes power to the area. And so at the dawn of today, this mobile transformer you see behind me here was brought in order to alleviate the plight of the people in the area. I'll be joined shortly by the Director of Communication for the ECG, Mr. William Boateng, who is here in order to us on the details of this. Mr. Boateng, thanks for your time. People will see this sitting on a track here. Are you going to bring it down to install? What is the capacity of it, and what exactly do you seek to achieve at the end of the day?
Well, we are going to bring it down. We'll install it. This is 3311. It's 33. There's 1 week. This such will be ready for the tie-ins, and that's what we do. This for the 33 and the 11. And so, worst case scenario, give us the next 6 weeks. We should fire the plant, and then obviously you see a massive improvement in the power reliability within this environment. We are talking about Tse-Addo up to Petition, and the surrounding areas or power supply will be very stable, reliable. So that frequent trippings will stop because the feeders are full to capacity. They are full at the brim. The slightest adverse weather definitely has an effect, and then you see that those type of trippings. And so that's what we're experiencing now in most places in Accra as we speak now. Most of the feeders are full to capacity. So we are doing some relief projects, and we just made mention of the Rage, we made mention of Tishimungwa, we made mention of Adenta, we said Wessel Malls, and some few other places, about 7 of them. We hope to complete it by end of the next 6 months or so, and then we are sure that power is stable. Because when the age feeders are full to capacity and they are tripping frequently, and also you have the rainstorms and the windy storms also coming in, then apart from the high voltage lines going down or tripping are going off, after we restore power, then we are also faced with the localized faults. Then it compounds the situation, and that's why we are aggressively working on the HV. Then the localized ones, we put the customers to give us a call. Because those ones, we don't have any technology on the lines to inform us of the outage. So when you are off 4 or 5 hours, you are off and you don't call us. There's no way we know that you are off. We should do well to call the fault, the contact center 0302 611 611, or engage us on all the social media handles. We are very active, including our West, I
have a question. What the understanding I get is that this is a mobile transformer, which will mean that you would not have to bring it down and install in the grounds and all of that. How long is it going to stay here while you fix the permanent problem on the other transformers?
Oh, I'm told that it will take us about 6 months. This guy can stay and run for the next one. It's the same transformer like you see. Whether it's mobile, so it comes into play. The system has same one. Whilst we build the permanent ones. So it can be here for 2 years, 1 year, there's no problem about it. It runs like the normal stationary primary substations you see.
So it is staying here for 6 months?
It can stay here for more than 6 months, depending on what we are doing. So long as it's relieving or doing the job for us to give that reliable power supply, there's no problem at all about it.
So the people of Tse-Addo are going to get rest assured that in the next 6 weeks, while you fix this, right after fixing it, the power outages that some will call doomsday will be resolved for them.
Yes, it's going to be a thing of the past. Give us the next 6 weeks, we'll complete the job by the next 6 weeks. They will fire the plant, and I'm sure they will see the difference in terms of the voltage, the quality of the voltage, and the reliability.
The energy minister just last week told us in our exclusive interview that you, ECG, are going to be giving some KPIs including the fixing of minor challenges when power trips. Is this part of the plan, or this is a mere coincidence?
We have our plan already, our projects already that has been approved for us to take off, of course, but his contribution in terms of his drive, in terms of his KPIs and his directive or instructions are also very much welcome. In fact, it gives us that impetus to move into the system, double up, bring in some third-party contractors to assist us to meet his timelines. So it's good for us that is pushing us to work faster than whatever we planned.
Briefly, before I let you go, what's the general plan for the other areas in Accra who may be experiencing what Tse-Addo is going through?
We made mention of about 7 of those projects that we are undertaking. We made mention of upgrading of the power transformer at 7 places. Let me pick the 6 in Accra. We make mention of the Lashibi. We made mention of the La, Denta, Tishinungwa, Batuna. We made mention of Rich. In fact, we are doing one at the we made mention, I think, the West Hills side. So these are all projects, that
which will complete within which time?
No, I think my engineers made mention of the end of the year, but there are some of them are in some certain stages of completion. So let's get access that end of the year. But we see the improvement. Not only that one, you see, apart from the HV feeders that we are complaining, we're also talking about the localized outages, where some of the distribution transformers are full to capacity. They need to be relieved. So we need to build some redundancy in the system. So we are adding more distribution transformers in the system
to fix those localized.
Yes, definitely.
So by end of year, at least your region, which is Accra, would have fully resolved this minor issue.
Oh yes, we plan by August you see the signs clear because we are working towards that. So by August everybody will see the signs. Immediately we tighten the nuts around those areas, the screws around those distribution transformers that are weak, and we change those lines, the cables. You see the difference from whatever we are going through. Now we are very sorry. Please try and engage us. Social media handles, go to our website, follow our website.
That's an apology to you.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. And
thank you very much, James Avaji, there at Tse-Addo, where the Electricity Company of Ghana is installing a transformer for them due to the power outages. Well, let's head to the Save the Judiciary demonstration and get an update from the ground. Adobia Sari is with us on the line. Adobia, what's the latest? Where are they now? Adobia Sari is with the team there and is joining us with the very latest. We understand that the protesters are currently at Parliament to also offer their petition there against the suspension of the Chief Justice in your...
All about the Save the Judiciary demo organized by the mainly by the New Patriotic Party and with support from their allies, that's LPG, NDP and other political parties. I'm here with the constituency youth organizer of the Wejagbawe, that's the constituency of Honorable Ahmed Shaib. Gentlemen, why are you here today?
Ghanaians are sad. Citizens of Ghanaians are sad. Consumers are sad. Myself, I'm sad. Car dealers are sad. Cameramen are sad. And Joy News is also sad.
Why? We've not told you we are sad, but why? What are we sad about?
We are sad because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is infringing on the rights of the judiciary.
Really? How so?
How can you suspend? It was just in public that it was President John Dramani Mahama suspended the CJ. And the Ghanaian people are not happy about what is happening.
Okay, but you know he didn't just get up and suspend, right? There were petitions that were presented to him. And all of these things, he has the mandate under the Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution to do that if he finds a prima facie, he finds that the case is a prima facie case. And that is what is going on. So she's not being sacked. It's possible that after the committee he has set up investigates and they find that she's clean, she can be reinstated. So why all this?
Do you know those who petitioned? Did he tell us those who petitioned Under what grounds? The petition is a fundamental, the people who petition should be a fundamental basis for whatever reason the CJ is being suspended.
So from what you are saying, the petition should come out.
We need to know who who petitioned the CJ.
So that's what you want to know?
Yes, that is what we want to know. Okay. And for under what reason will the petition, under what basis would people petition the CJ? You understand? When you go to the law court or the rule of law states that if you have anything to do, there should be something we call evidence. When a writ is presented, we have the plaintiff's name, we have the address of the plaintiff against the defendant. So who petitioned the CJ?
But that's what, let me take you back a little. That's what the prima facie is all about. So last year, okay, there's a professor called Stephen Kweku Asari, and he petitioned on the basis that the Chief Justice he alleged that the Chief Justice was misconducting herself or was incompetent. He had a number of reasons, but one of the reasons was the fact that she unilaterally made a decision to recommend directly to the presidency to uplift 5 judges from the Court of Appeals to the Supreme Court. And it is not done if you've not gone through the Council of State. What do you have to say about that?
We are not happy because institutions are being attacked. This is a precedent we are setting, and this precedent will continue, and any other government that comes into power will continue this precedent. We will not allow John Dramani Mahama to continue this, and we, the people of Ghana, we Ghanaians and the citizens of Ghana are not happy. And so many Ghana for was small kind, we're here, and we will go against whatever is coming in. We are demonstrating to let the Ghanaian people, let the government know that Ghanaian people are not happy about what is happening.
Okay, so Kwame Bekwin, you said?
Yes, I'm Kwame Bekwin.
Okay, your designation again?
I am the constituency youth organizer and the incoming Greater Accra Regional Youth Organizer.
Okay, thank you so much for your opinion. So it's still all about the Save the Judiciary protest happening. We started from the forecourt of the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, that's the car park over there, and then we moved to the Supreme Court where there was a little tension and a little bit of chaos because some communication didn't go down well, but then we've walked all the way from the place, and we are currently at the forecourt of the Parliamentary House. The Parliament House of Ghana is where we are currently. Some of the protesters are already snacking because they've been tired. Some of them came at dawn, and they've been here since 5 a.m. Some came as early as 4:30. We spoke to some of them earlier, and then Mami Esi, they said they had to forfeit sleep to get here on time to make sure this demonstration goes on. And then now you can tell that some of them are really tired. They are seated on the floor. Some are drinking water. They are taking savories. And that is what is going on here. But I have another gentleman with me here that I want to interact with. Sir, hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. You?
I'm okay. What's your name?
I'm Kamal Amasama Broni.
Right. What's your designation?
I'm the National Coordinator for Amasama constituency.
Yes. Why are you demonstrating here today? What does this mean to you? What's the significance?
The significance is that the Constitution stipulates that the 3 arms of government should work independently, devoid of control. But what we are seeing from the president is stretching his hand beyond what the Constitution has granted him.
Really?
To try to manipulate the judiciary. We know the other two arms of government are politicized. Therefore, it is the judiciary that becomes our safeguard, that when we are both parties or Ghanaians, when we have any issues, that is where we go to seek for justice.
Wait, calm down. Before you continue, do you really think the president is overstretching? Because according to Article 146 of the Constitution of Ghana, he's mandated to do this thing if there's a prima facie case.
The Constitution stipulates the procedures by which a CJ must be suspended. One of the criteria, or the major one amongst them, is that there must be misconduct and infirmity of mind. Now, if you look at misconduct, what has a CJ misconducted herself?
So you know Professor Kweku Asari?
Yes.
You know last year he submitted a petition that was dismissed by President.
And those were updates from the Save the Judiciary demonstration currently at the Parliament House. Away from that, President John Mahama will later today introduce a code of conduct for all government appointees. Minister for Government Communications Felix Kwatri-Fosu described this coming week as a pivotal moment for government's reform agenda. In a Facebook post on Sunday, he explained that the code was first unveiled during the ministerial swearing-in ceremony and is intended to clarify ethical expectations for public office holders. And joining me now is, excuse me, Martin People, who is a a lawyer, and also Adam Tse-Addo, an anti-corruption campaigner. Let me start with you, Martin. Legally, what do you make of the approach by government to introduce this code of conduct and not a law?
Okay, so what I can say is that we will need further explanations to be able to make an informed decision. I say so because, look, before President Mahama was, voted into office, okay, before he won elections, you know, there's an IMF conditionality that we should pass a new code of conduct law. And we've been asking for it because we want publication of the assets when the public officers declare their assets. We also want verification, etc., right? So the debate at the time going into the election, it wasn't even a debate. We're now waiting for President Akufo-Addo to release a bill to us, a bill that will go to Parliament with those critical provisions. So this one, doing the code of conduct, the one President Mahama is about to launch, is a departure from what we agreed with the IMF. Emanesi, I can't emphasize enough. It's an IMF conditionality. We say we've all agreed as a society that we want to amend Act 550. And as I've said, for those critical things about publication so that people can scrutinize, and then verifications, and then other provisions, other biting provisions. So what we say is that notwithstanding the publication, the launch of this code of conduct today, it means that we must still go on and do the bill. President Akufo-Addo said he was working on the bill. Then one point, Godfrey Dami came out and said, yes, he was responsible for the bill. So maybe it will help to interview Godfrey Dami to find out that at the time he was leaving office, what was the state of the bill? So that when we get clarity on it, then we can push. Because the bill is non-negotiable.
Right.
So in essence, President Mahama can launch this code, meaning that he's using it as a policy. When I say policy, meaning that an executive policy. And you know, in his first term of office, they did it. They had such a code. I presume they've updated it. But this one doesn't qualify. It doesn't replace the IMF conditionality, which we all agreed that we want to have a new code of conduct for public officers, a new act of parliament, so that when President Mahama leaves office in 4 years, the next government will be bound. Now let's learn something quickly from the approach President Mahama is using. You know, in his first term of office, he had this code of conduct, but because it was an executive policy, you see that when President Akufo-Addo came for
Unfortunately, Martin People's line is frozen there. But when we get him, we'll get back to him. Let's go to... All right, I understand Martin is back with us. Martin.
Yes. So I was making the point that we should learn a big lesson from the fact that President Akufo-Addo, when he came into office, didn't use President Mahama's code of conduct, the one they are launching today, the first version. They didn't use it for 8 years. So that should tell us that we need to get an act of parliament so that no matter who is in office, that law will be binding. For 8 years, President Akufo-Addo didn't use the code that President Mahama made before he left office. And I presume it is that code that he has updated and they are going to launch today. So this approach, yes, and Namdudu on same quite, right? We can go ahead with the launch today. But let's go back to the IMF conditionality that we all agree to. We pushed for it, we pushed strenuously, and it became an IMF conditionality. So what is being launched today cannot replace the Act of Parliament we want, so that Act 550 will be amended, so that no matter who is in office, the law will be binding.
Right. So, Martin, I mean, what will be the new thing that this code introduces, if you could tell us, apart from what is already existing in our law books?
Good. So, I mean, see, I haven't seen it, so I cannot tell. But what I'm hoping is that the very matters that we have been fighting in the public domain, that those be featured. There are at least two key ones. One, that when a public officer declares his assets with the Auditor General, there should be publication on a website so that somebody in Zuarungu, somebody in Boko, somebody in Azim all right, can sit at home, go online and check that, oh, my DCE has published his assets, let me check. So if that person has in checks and sees that DCE has written only 2 houses, but the person knows that, but there are 4 other houses that in the community we know he owns, then that person can take the matter up, right? So publication online. Then number 2, verification. If somebody puts in the declaration that he owns X, Y, Z assets, let's go and verify so that we don't have anticipatory declaration. When we say anticipatory declaration, it's possible that the person doesn't own all of the houses. He's put them in the declaration because he hopes to buy them once he comes into office, because he knows that in office he will make a lot more money, right? So we should verify all the major assets. You can't verify 100%, but the major assets. So they'll declare that any property may be worth more than 50,000, will verify. You can't verify the smaller ones like bicycle. I mean, of course, I know some sophisticated bicycles cost a lot more, but I'm talking about the general Ghanaian bicycle and smaller items.
Right.
Yes. And then there are other biting provisions like, the declaration should be done every 2 years. Internationally, that's a new trend. Don't do 4 years. 4 years is too long, right? So every 2 years. And then also the matter of sacking, that if you fail to declare, you don't take the office at all. And somehow, if you manage to take the office and we find out that the public officer has not declared, the public officer be sacked. All those things, yes.
Right, okay.
All those provisions.
Let me go to Adam Senanus, anti-graft campaigner. Adam, do you believe that this code of conduct could deter appointees from corruption?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think that substantively we've tried code of conduct which are policy level, and it hasn't brought the change that we would want. It is the reason why civil society as a whole for the Code of Public Officers bill to be passed. And I do know that under the tenure of the last government, it had reached cabinet level, but that's where it stopped. So indeed, that's one of the pluses of the previous government, that the Attorney General was able to get the COPU all the way to the cabinet level. But then it looked like they differed in terms of taking a substantive decision on the bill. We need to revise where we are on that bill and enhance it. There are some aspects we thought could be strengthened, especially relating to the asset declaration regime and things like that. And then move forward. A policy level document does not allow the rest of us to hold accountable public officers who've been entrusted with responsibility. So, whereas it may seem that, yes, our president recognizes the importance of a code of conduct, which we appreciate, we need to move on to something higher if we're going to get the results we want for this country.
Right. But then what practical steps should civil society, or will civil society be taking in monitoring that this is adhered to, I mean, aside government's own monitoring systems?
I don't think that civil society will be keen on just monitoring what they intend to launch today. I think that we'll be much more interested, and you are going to hear many more voices from civil society pointing back at the COPU, because that's a comprehensive law. It is, as it were, this is justiciable, so you can take it to court when somebody breaches a part of the law. So for us, what we'll be interested in is saying, is Mr. President, if he's speaking, point us to how you're going to complete the COPU in as short as possible a period with stakeholder consultation, so that we have a law that all of us can use to monitor and hold accountable the officers of the state.
Right. Well, Martin, let me come back to you. With this code of conduct, I mean, it's no law. And we understand, as you just rightly pointed out, that the previous administration was working on a bill. However, is this binding on other governments should the Mahama administration be out of power?
It is not. That's what I said. It's not binding. It is not binding. As I've previously stated, it's not binding because it's an executive decision. So a lot of the time, the executive decisions don't go beyond the sitting president. Of course, there are supposed to be exceptions, but that's not what we are discussing now. As I mentioned earlier, you remember when President Akufo-Addo came, for 8 years, the Mahama Code wasn't what they were using. The Mahama Code of 20, in its previous term, 2012 to 2016, that was not what was being used. And so we kept pushing for a proper law. And then as I said earlier, and also as corroborated by Adam, we eventually got a bill. Then the bill wasn't good enough. So civil society kept pushing. Then it was improved. Then we said, no, still not good enough. And then Akufo-Addo said he would give a world-class bill. World-class. Now they say, I want to quote him well. In 2023 in Cape Coast at the bar conference, and there are videos, I can share the clip with you. He said he's going to give Ghana a world-class code of conduct bill. I mean, that was going to go to Parliament. That was in September 2023. Then in September 2024, in the bar conference at in Kumasi, the same promise. He said, oh, it could be done before he leaves office. You know, September, he had barely 3 months. It's not surprising that he couldn't do it. So we should learn very big lessons from the past, both the refusal of Akufo-Addo to use Mahama's code, and which meant that it was not binding on Akufo-Addo, and Akufo-Addo's failure to pass the law. You know, the bill didn't go to Parliament. So civil society should get up. Let's continue the conversation. It's good President Mahama is launching this today. When we see a copy, we will scrutinize, but it cannot replace the bill that we need to take to Parliament and to pass into law that will bind all subsequent governments. Of course, it can always be amended in future, but it's more difficult, right? And also we'll be satisfying the IMF conditionality. And so we also wish to state that the IMF should also blame themselves for not making it one of the condition precedents, so let's say second or third disbursement. That is my problem with the IMF. You see, they didn't push enough. You just put it in there. They didn't tie it to any of the disbursement. They could have easily said, listen, this law has to be passed before you come for the third disbursement, for instance. But they didn't tie it. So maybe we should interview the IMF to ask them, how do they feel about the way they just put in that clause, but didn't tie it to anything. And then more than 1 year on, we don't even know where we are.
On our desk this morning, and also Adam Senano, anti-graft campaigner, who also joined us on this very conversation. Right about now, we head back to Parliament, where the Save the Judiciary demonstrators are giving their petition to the leadership of Parliament. And you can see in your shot the Clerk of Parliament, also the Minority Leader and other leading members of that demonstration, you know, giving out their petition on the Save the Judiciary demonstration. Then let's go there and find out what they're talking about.
Honourable Minority Leader, who is doubling as our guest this morning, honourable members of Parliament, fellow Ghanaians, we are very happy to see you this morning. As you are aware, Parliament is a house for the people. And anytime the people have any grievance, the place to come to is the Parliament of Ghana. The Right Honourable Speaker has been described variously as a father for all. Some of you are representatives of people that whose concerns you articulate, and so we appreciate what we do here. This morning we heard that you'll be coming here. Mr. Speaker decided to put together the Chief Executive and his 2 deputies to receive you. But as is our culture, anytime we see people coming, we ask them if somebody's chasing them so that we can hide them. But if they are coming with joy, then we'll celebrate. Whom you all know, the Deputy Clerk in charge of Legislative Management, Camilo Kwamang, the Deputy Clerk in charge of Information Management Services, Dr. Gloria Kumau. We also have the Director for Media Engagement, Efia Tenge. We have one of our marshals, who is our landlord, Wing Commander Fred Bauer, and I am Kate, and we are here at your service. So we'll ask you, when then we'll be able to see what we can do for you.
Leader, do you want to carry on?
Yeah, leadership.
Thank you very much. We are the coalition of political parties who are demonstrating, and we're stopping here to present a petition to ask the judiciary to support in this fight to sustain our democracy and hold the president's hand from affecting our judiciary. We're here with our leader, but I'll introduce the other members of the team. We have our General Secretary here, Justin Fifonkodia, with us. We have our mother, the Deputy Minority Leader, Madam Patricia PJ, is with us. The leader of the LPG, the Liberal Party of Ghana, Kofi Akpalo, is with us here. We have our senior party member, former organizer of the party, Samuel Awuku, is here. Our third deputy minority whip is also here, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, and many more people. But then I go to PNP. They haven't got a chance to come in. Okay, we have Mr. Jerry Apau, who is the General Secretary of LPG. The leader and presidential flag bearer for the NDP is also here. Frimpong Mohammed is also here. But our leader is leading us here to present this petition to you, to ask for support in the fight to maintain our democracy.
Okay, before our leader comes in, now that we know why you are here, our chief executive, who is our spokesperson, will now formally welcome you, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much, Madam Kate. Honorable Minority Leader, other members of the leadership of the New Patriotic Party in Parliament present here, and other members of various political parties, inclusive as per your introduction. Let me, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, welcome you to Parliament of Ghana. As you know, Parliament represents the people. Article 1, Clause 1 of the Constitution is very clear. The sovereignty of Ghana is vested in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government are exercised in a manner and within the limits laid down in the Constitution. Parliament, Article 93(1) of the Constitution, represents the people. And like Kate said, where the people, sections of the people, a group of citizens have a concern because of the grievance redress rule of Parliament, necessarily they may want to approach Parliament. I believe that it is in that regard that you have decided to come over to Parliament to present some concerns to the Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker is not physically here at the moment. He is caught up in several engagements. Almost every minute he is in one engagement or the other, and that has been the trend. That has been the trend. So he's not here. And in the absence of the Speaker, I believe the appropriate persons to quickly stand in to receive you would be the clerk and members of the parliamentary service, precisely because the House is even on recess. And so, on behalf of Right Honourable Speaker, you are most welcome. We would, at this point, on behalf of Speaker, grant you audience, receive whatever message you have, and then we can in turn communicate to the Right Honourable Speaker. On that note, the floor is open. We are within the precincts of Parliament, so it's permissible for me to say the floor is open. Minority Leader, you may have your...
So the minority leader will show when you enter the
Clerk to Parliament, Deputy Clerks, members of the Parliamentary Service Management. This morning, we're here to reiterate one point. Ghana is under siege, and there's a call on us to rise, resist, and defend the judiciary. Frightening and ominous clouds loom over our republic as we march today. The 1992 Constitution, the sacred covenant that binds us as a free and sovereign people, is under threatened assault. The very institutions entrusted with safeguarding our liberties are being infiltrated, manipulated, and desecrated by ruthless cabal determined to cling to power at all costs. Even before the NDC assumed office, they had already begun a violent assault on our constitutional order. They established a so-called oral committee, an entity without legal basis or constitutional backing, which engaged in flagrant illegality. That was the opening salvo in what has now become a full-blown campaign to dismantle our sacred democratic foundations. In NDC governments today, they have deployed mercenaries and thugs, and they did so during the coalition. They managed to control the coalition centers last year, and to date, they've managed to stop through violence the declaration of the Ablekumanov constituency parliamentary elections. They brutalized party agents, intimidated voters, coerced electoral commission officials into declaring fraudulent parliamentary results in their favor. Where they failed to steal outright, they sought to manipulate, to bully, to force outcomes. It is no wonder that the courts are now systematically throwing out their bogus claims. This is because truth, though often delayed, cannot be buried. These mercenaries and thugs did not merely brutalize our parliamentary candidates, agents and supporters. They mutilated our nation. They inflicted physical harm, burned down the Electoral Commission offices, and destroyed vital public property. Yet to this day, none of them has been held accountable in court of law. Indeed, today Ghana, impunity reigns and is at the very top. Since assuming office, the president has weaponized the security services, deploying them in retrogressive PNDC-style raids on the homes of political opponents. Private citizens, including former governor of the central bank, Dr. Addison, and former finance minister, Kenneth Foriata, have had their property seized, their rights violated, and their dignity stripped. This is not government. It is tyranny cloaked in the robes of democracy. Additionally, this government has arbitrarily dismissed senior military officers with years of faithful service. The government has gutted the Ghana Armed Forces of professional experience and neutrality. Our military, once revered for its non-partisanship, is now being painted in NDC colors. This is a dangerous betrayal of the Republic. And why? Because the president no longer sees himself as a president. He fancies himself as an autocrat, a ruler for life. A number of guests at the inauguration told the story. Military dictators, authoritarian sympathizers, men of iron fists and empty conscience. And as if to erase all doubt, the president donned full military regalia at a recent armed forces event, parading as a commander of the nation he plans to subdue, not to serve. His every gesture speaks to a sinister agenda to break the constitution and amend it and prolong his grip on power, abetted by a judiciary he is desperate to capture. In other words, the president is looking forward to using the judiciary for a third term. This explains the relentless siege on the judiciary. A judiciary that has stood as a last bulwark between autocracy and freedom is now the target of the NDC government. Today, the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, a distinguished servant of this republic, is under siege. The head of the judiciary is being dragged through a sham process of removal from office, engineered by a desperate president and a rubber stamped by a toothless, failed Council of State. Their goal is not justice, it is intimidation. It is a warning shot to every judge: obey or be broken. They do not seek a judiciary that upholds the law. They seek one that bows to the will of a dictator, President Mahama. A bench bent to serve power, not principle. I repeat, a bench bent to serve power, not principle. They seek to install kangaroo courts and the democratic facade. What is happening is no accident. It is a warning, a threat, a ruthless message to every judicial officer that dissent will be crushed and independence punished. Let us remember the BNDC, the ideological ancestor of today's NDC, once murdered 3 High Court judges in cold blood. One of them, Justice Tse-Addo, was pregnant. She died with her unborn child, burned, defiled, and erased. That dark memory now casts its shadow once more as Mahama returned with vengeance in his heart and fear as his weapon. This time, instead of the bullets and fire, the NDC uses nominations and intimidation. The NDC has proposed 7 new appointments to the Supreme Court. Some competent, yes, but all selected to serve the diabolical agenda of the NDC government for a 3rd term for President Mahama. The wishes of the NDC is to fashion a judiciary in their image, subservient, pliant, loyal to party above law. It is no coincidence that President Mahama himself titled his memoir, My First Coup d'etat. The unfolding attacks on our democratic institutions appear to be his second. But the judiciary is not only his target and the target of his government and his party. Since returning to power, President Mahama has embarked on a sweeping peg of public and civil service. Hundreds of hard-working Ghanaians, professionals who have served government of all stripes with dignity and skill, have been dismissed without cause or hounded into forced resignation. Their only crime was refusing to wear the NDC's colors or submit to its whims. This is a direct assault on the principle of neutrality in our public administration. It is a betrayal of the values enshrined in our Constitution: merit, impartiality, and service to the nation, not to any political party. And as if the shameful attacks on the Chief Justice were not enough, His Excellency the President plans to turn his diabolic sight on the Electoral Commission, just as several of his party stalwarts have predicted. Plans are far advanced to dismantle the current commission and replace its leadership with loyal NDC operatives. This is no longer speculation. It is an unfolding conspiracy. The goal is clear: to seize total control of the democratic process and bend future elections to the will of one man and his party, a 3rd term agenda. He may have risen to power through the ballot box, but make no mistake, President Mahama and his party have no respect for the Constitution that made that possible. They speak of accountability, but what do they think they are doing, and who do they think they are fooling? The Attorney General, far from being guardian of justice, has been reduced to a partisan tool, sweeping away prosecutions against NDC officials who allegedly were involved in all manner of malfeasance during the first administration of President Mahama. Now entangled in a web of allegations and counter-allegations, he has become a perfect reflection of the regime's decay, a symbol not of justice, but of growth in high office. They now choose which judge to sit on a particular case. And we've seen the transfer of a particular judge to preside on the case. An example again is Mr. Tse-Addo. How a suspect who is on bail could be remanded in custody because the Attorney General claims that the accused is doing something untoward. This is an example of what the NDC is up to. No more justice, but intimidation and what the government wants. And the president himself, this is a man who boldly vowed to sanction any appointee who failed to comply with the constitutional mandate, declare asset before assuming public office. Yet, days after credible reports revealed that dozens of ministers and other appointees have flouted this obligation, Mr. President remains silent, lacking the courage to act. Instead of upholding the Constitution, his government issues weak denials and evasive statements, shielding the lawless while persecuting the principle. They recently attacked our brother, John Intim-Fodjo, for speaking out. They claim he has to be reporting to the NIB. For what offense? This is not leadership. It is conspiracy of impunity. A cabal determined to protect its own and crush all who dare to hold them accountable. Let us be clear. This is not politics as usual. This is a dangerous, coordinated attack on Ghana's constitutional democracy. And that is why we march today. We march to resist the rise of a new oppressor and an oppressive regime. One who wears the cloth of democracy but governs with the spirit of dictatorship. We march not as partisans but as patrons. We march because the Constitution demands it. Article after article of our supreme law enjoins us to defend the Republic not with arms but with truth, courage and lawful resistance. We must be vigilant. We must be relentless. We must use every constitutional tool at our disposal to oppose this descent into despotism. Every citizen who cherishes freedom must rise, loud, bold and fearless. We must organize, mobilize and strategize until this diabolical agenda is brought to its knees. We say to the judiciary, your first duty is the Constitution, not to this government, not to any president, not to any party. Woe and allegiance to the Republic and its people. In these trying times, we do not ask you to take sides. We ask you to stand firm, to stand for justice, stand for Ghana, and know this, you are not alone. We stand with you, and will not falter until judicial independence is restored and protected always. Let history record that in the darkest of times, we did not cower to the whims of a despotic ruler and its government in a democratic attack. Let it be said that when Ghana's democracy bled, we did not look away. We stood up. We fought back with valor and reclaimed our republic. May God bless our struggle. May God bless our constitution. And may God bless the Republic of Ghana and make her great and strong. Thank you very much.
So we'll now take
Mr. Clerk to Parliament, on behalf of the demonstrators, the petitioners, and all patriots who have gathered here today, I place in your hand our petition. This is the second for the day. The first was the Judicial Secretary for onwards transmission to the Judicial Council. This is the second to another co-equal arm of states, an equal arm of government, Parliament. Receive it to be transmitted to the Speaker for further deliberations on the floor of the House. Thank you so much indeed. And we promise, one more time, that this is going to be a peaceful demonstration. No violence intended. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much. Myself and my colleagues have received the petition on behalf of Right Honourable Speaker and will accordingly transmit it to the Right Honourable Speaker for appropriate action. And let me assure you that we will do the needful on our part. Mr. Speaker is the Speaker of the House, and I believe we will also do the needful. On that note, we thank all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Media, take your mics. Microphone.
Thank you.
Microphone. Let's move. Thank you very much.
Give me the channel.
I'm coming. So I tell the channel one, give me a... Yo, man. To the second arm of government, Parliament here. Just a few seconds ago, Afenyo Makin leading the charge together with some bigwigs in the MPP, the national organizer, and Henry Nana Boachi, together with Joseph Ripon Kudia, who is also the general secretary of the MPP, have just submitted a petition received by the Clerk of Parliament just a few seconds ago, and this is what they are wrapping up. That only means that we are left with one more petition to submit, which is at the seat of government, the presidency. And that will be at the Jubilee House in a few moments there. And if you just look here, there are scores of people here who have joined today's protest. Essentially, what they are asking for is President John Dramani Mahama to end the processes triggered to remove Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono from the position as the Chief Justice. What President Mahama says he's received 3 petitions. He's forwarded that to Council of State, which voted on it and thought that there was substantial case in it, and John Mahama has also acted on it. That will be the finding a prima facie case in the petitions. That now has moved beyond the presidency. It's now with a committee set up by John Dramani Mahama to now interrogate the petition and also seek for answers at the end of the day. So the crowd is now getting ready to move and then get to other places pretty shortly. That will be the seat of government pretty shortly here. So there's some members of parliament who are also currently around and we'll try to get to Jerry Ahmed. Jerry Ahmed is a face that you know in parliament. Honorable.
Let's finish, then we'll talk.
We are done with your house. Yes, we are left with one more. But I just wanted to find out, people are wondering, Jerry Ahmed, why are you here? So, we mentioned that some political parties are also joining this particular campaign. The General Secretary of LPG is here. Very tired?
Not too tired. I'm just relaxing. I don't want the pressure of the police anymore.
Interesting, yeah. But many are wondering, what is your stake in all of this? I mean, this is LPG, never been in government, you're not in government. What is your case with a supposed process to remove Justice Tokono? And this is just based on a petition. A committee will possibly decide whether there's merit in it or not.
You don't have to win an election before you can be called a politician. We are a political party that is duly registered. And I'm surprised you said we've never won power, so we cannot protect our democracy. You see, it is very wrong for President John Mahama to behave like an oppressor, to behave like we sold the country for him and his NDC. You see, even with this number of members that he has appointed for them to investigate the CJ's matter, the chairman of the committee is not fit to be the chairperson of the committee. You know the name Daniel Ofori. It rings a bell. Daniel Ofori is a pal of Gabriel Scott. What's his other name? The committee chairman. So how can he preside over this matter of a case that he has an interest in?
So quickly, LPG, what exactly are you also asking for? We've seen the petition, but as LPG, what do you also want done in this particular process?
We just want the CJ back to his office. It is very wrong for the president to use discretion to suspend the CJ. What about when he was using that discretion? What about when somebody has angered him? What about even the wife provoked him? It is very wrong to say somebody is using that discretion to sack somebody or to suspend somebody from the office. It has to be in a due process. And John Mahama, president, has it wrong when they say, or he says, it is his discretion. And let's sign this as a warning to NDC. If John Mahama and his NDC decide to keep the CJ out of office, the Article 146 will not be touched. It will stay as it is, and they should know that whoever is elected as the president will go with their CJ, and whoever is elected, they will come with their CJ and go with their CJ. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you just heard the General Secretary of the LPG essentially saying that if government goes ahead with their planned intent or processes to remove the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, it effectively cements an occurrence or a regular occurrence where every political party that when they gain power will definitely try to sack everybody and put in their own people, be it whatever he meant with that. Currently, the crowd is moving from the Parliament House, the second place, to the final destination, what is the Jubilee House, where they present a final petition to President John Dramani Mahama. We'll be following the crowd and bring you all the updates as we get it.
And those were updates from Parliament House, where the Save the Judiciary demonstrators presented a petition to the Clerk of Parliament for the Speaker of Parliament to consider. And that's how we draw the curtain on Joy News Desk here on Joy News. We'll be back for Joy News today. Thank you for watching.